Let's dive into this newscast with the latest coming in from Europe and coronavirus. Europe is currently witnessing a resurgence in COVID-19 infections. Europe's reported COVID-19 cases have doubled in 10 days. It crossed 200,000 daily infections for the first time on Thursday, as countries like Italy, Austria, Croatia, Slovenia and Bosnia reported their highest single-day surge in COVID-19 cases on Thursday. Now, Germany's Disease Control Center on Thursday reported a new daily record increase in coronavirus infections. The country reported 11,287 new cases in 24 hours, the highest daily spike since the beginning of the pandemic. Now, German soldiers arrived in Frankfurt on Thursday to help with efforts to help in combating the COVID-19 crisis. Frankfurt's mayor Peter Feldman said that the soldiers would assist in contact tracing new infections in the region to initiate necessary steps to curb the spread.
Ist nötig, weil wir kaum nachkommen mit dem Verfolgen des sogenannten Trackings. Jeder von uns weiß, wenn er in einen Café geht, wenn er in eine Kneipe geht, wenn er in ein Restaurant geht, dass er den Namen, die Adresse, die Telefonnummer, die E-Mail-Adresse angeben muss. Und dann verschwindet das eben nicht nur irgendwo, sondern es soll nachverfolgt werden. Und dabei können wir auf erfahrene Kräfte der Bundeswehr, dank der Unterstützung auch der Bundeswehrführung und der nationalen Ebene zurückgreifen. Und das ist eine Riesenentlastung für unsere Gesundheitsbehörden, damit wir zumindest eine Chance haben zu gucken, wo der Infekt ist, wo er verbleibt und was wir tun können.
Amid a resurgence in coronavirus cases, regional governments of Spain began new restrictions on Thursday. Northern Navarra region has ordered all bars and restaurants to shut down. Shops and businesses can stay open till 9 p.m. local time. It has also banned non-essential travel in and out of its regional borders. The nearby provincial capitals of Zaragoza, Huesca and Teruel have also imposed soft lockdowns from Thursday. Spain reported over 20,900 new infections in the last 24 hours. Hospitals in Rome are witnessing an increase in number of patients being hospitalized with COVID-19. Italy is also seeing an average of 10,000 new COVID-19 cases every day and intensive care units filling up. An overnight curfew took effect on Thursday night in Milan and the northern Italian regions of Lombardy in an effort to contain a surge in the contagion. The curfew will run from 11 p.m. till 5 a.m. to discourage people from hanging out in the bars and restaurants. Other regions have also decided to impose nighttime restrictions, including Campania and Lazio, which includes Rome. Italy registered 15,199 new COVID-19 infections over 24 hours, the highest daily tally since the start of the country's outbreak. Meanwhile, Ireland has become the first EU country to return to a nationwide lockdown. The move took effect from midnight on Wednesday after the Irish cabinet agreed to impose level 5 restrictions. The measures to remain in effect for 6 weeks. For more details, let's quickly go across to DW correspondent Rob Watts, who's joining us live from Berlin at this hour for more news inputs on this. Rob, a very warm welcome to you. Now, what can possibly explain the cause for this massive resurgence of the coronavirus in Europe, especially in nations like Germany, which have already been appreciated for their handling of the disease during the first wave?
Well, again, the reasons are because of movement that has happened since we became a lot more comfortable over the summer after the first wave of the coronavirus hit Europe, and now we can very safely say that we are now seeing a second wave of that, but it's being handled in a different way. I mean, you just mentioned how Ireland has become the first country to reintroduce a national lockdown. The way that it's being approached by the vast majority of European countries is to introduce localized controls. I mean, Germany is one of the countries that's doing that. The United Kingdom is doing the same. There's been a great deal of debate there about the fact that, London is imposing tight controls on northern cities, tighter controls than it's imposing on itself. But it's all about limiting movement now to try and stop the number of cases going up at the extreme rates that we're seeing, because as you mentioned, we are seeing record numbers of cases in many countries. We've seen France and Spain this week become the first European countries to post more than 1 million cases of coronavirus in total. Paris posted more than 40,000 new cases on Thursday, France that is, for the entirety of France, and they're becoming increasingly alarmed there. Spain is saying it's struggling to cope. And then in the east of Europe, we're also seeing a great resurgence in the coronavirus. A particular area of concern now is the Czech Republic, which now has the highest number of cases per 100,000 people in Europe. Its Prime Minister has apologised after having to reintroduce the toughest measures seen from the first wave of this virus, having previously said that they wouldn't be needed again.
Right. Also, Rob, at a time when Germany's health minister has tested positive for coronavirus, how is Germany coping with its second wave?
Yes, well, Germany in the past 2 days has had record numbers of cases. On Thursday, it had the most daily new cases that it has had over both waves, some 11,200. It's posted a similar amount today. And you compare that with how many cases was the most before Thursday, it was less than 8,000 new cases in a day. So there is that jump that is making people concerned. The German Health Institute, the Robert Koch Institute, has said the situation here is very serious. But as long as people adhere to the rules, which are constantly changing across Germany, it will be possible to avoid us losing control. I mean, the number of cases that Germany is seeing, it compares reasonably well with countries of a similar population elsewhere in Europe. So there is a feeling that control can be regained. Meanwhile, Jens Spahn, yes, as you say, the health secretary, has got coronavirus. He is continuing to work, but work from home. We understand he hasn't developed a fever, but is showing cold symptoms. But he's been described as being in a good condition considering the circumstances.
Right. We wish him a speedy recovery. Rob, France is dragged back into an economic slump by the virus resurgence. How much of an impact has the resurgence had on Germany's economic recovery from the lockdown recession?
Well, we had some statistics yesterday from one of the national banks that said, 1 million jobs are likely to be lost in small and medium-sized businesses here in Germany. So the impact has been profound. There are also varying different restrictions around the country, because you remember in Germany restrictions are set by the 16 individual states here rather than being imposed from a national government level as they were at the very start of the first outbreak. But those are proving very restrictive for businesses. I mean, we've had a curfew introduced here in Berlin. Berlin is one of the real hotspots for Germany at the moment, meaning that businesses can't open between 11 o'clock at night and 6 o'clock in the morning, although that has been challenged successfully in the courts for some businesses. But elsewhere, the sort of city break tourism that would normally be happening at this time of year has been hit by the fact that some states have introduced accommodation bans, which mean people coming from places like Berlin, where there are a high number of cases, can't spend the night in other parts of Germany. And obviously for hotels and others who rely on that income from people travelling to their areas, that's another economic disaster.
Absolutely, and it's the least that we can hope is that there's some respite for the countries in the days to come, since the festival period is all set to begin. On that note, thank you so much, Rob, for bringing us all those latest inputs.